What's going on? It's Justeeni here. This is part 3. Here's some important terms that you might need to know. Pause the video if you need to, and let's get right into it. First, we're going to look at Zebasi, and with this, we're going to start with a variation of Tagro. It's a little different with Zebasi because he can't train a warrior on turn 2, but otherwise, it's just going to follow the standard Tagro principles, where you get those warriors, you get riding before capture on turn 3, and then on turn 4, you can train 2 riders. Now we'll look at a variation of Tagro mod. Again, with Zebasi, you make one less warrior, so in this case you can't make a warrior on turn 1, but you can make a rider on turn 2. And because you've got some additional space in your capital, you can actually make another rider on turn 3. Then from here, you can level up your second city, and then continue to spam riders from this point. Now we'll look at some different openings. With a more economical situation, we've got a lot of resources in our capital, so we're going to go for an early hunting. We're going to train one warrior. We won't train another warrior because we need to save for hunting before capture. And then on turn 4, we'll have just enough stars to level up with one farm and one animal. And now we'll look at a case where we miss our second city, but we still have a really good economical spawn. We've got 4 farms here and a fruit, so we want to go organization. We miss our second city though, and now we can actually train a second warrior because we don't have to get organization on turn 3. So we can delay things a turn, but still be able to develop quite well. And now for lighthouse spawns. With Zebasi, because you have a guaranteed 2 farms on capital, you pretty much always want to go for a triple warrior opening, where you train a warrior on turn 2. And this way, that third warrior can go to the lighthouse, which will get that capital to level 3 every single time, which can be very helpful to further boost your economy. Now for IMO, we'll first look at a pretty typical opening. Keep in mind you do get the Altar of Peace Monument on turn 5, so that's something that should always be accounted for in your openings. In this case, we will get tier 1 tech, in this case hunting, on turn 3 to level up our capital. Then on turn 4, we can either train up to 2 warriors, or we can level up our second city, like we do here. Now, what if we miss our second city, but still want to go for that kind of opening? So, in this case, we miss our second city, but things are still fine. We go organization, this time on turn 3. And then on turn 4, we can level up our second city. Now for an opening with a bit more long-term strength, we can go for an early philosophy. It's a very slow opening, but because of the Altar of Peace, it's not too slow. So on turn 3, we can get philosophy. Then on turn 4, we can get hunting or organization before capturing. Now, what if we miss our second city, but we still want to go for a philosophy opening? It will be a bit slower, but things will still work out pretty well. We can get philosophy on turn 4, And be sure to get hunting, organization, or fishing before capturing those villages. Now for Quetzali, they've got very straightforward openings. Usually you just train a warrior turn 0, and on turn 3, you're going to get a tier 1 tech, usually organization, and then on turn 4, you can decide to train up to 2 warriors or level up another city if you can. Now, if you don't find your second city, you can still do a very similar opening. You can get organization on turn 3 to level up a city, and then, if possible, level up another city on turn 4. Now for Yadakk, their ideal case scenarios where you make a warrior and a road on turn 0, you find your first village right away, and your second village right away. Then on turn 3, you can connect both cities to your capital, and then from there, your capital will be leveled up, and on turn 4, you can optionally train up to 2 warriors. Now, things don't always go to plan. What if you miss your third city? Well, in this case, we can still capture right away, but we can also decide to train a warrior. Then on turn 3, we can optionally train a second warrior if we want to. We don't have to, but it can be pretty useful. From there, on turn 4, we can get our third city and then connect it to our capital to level up. Now, what if we miss our second city? Well, we can still get a warrior on turn 0, and even though we miss our second city, we're not set back too much. We can get on our cities on turn 2, then on turn 3, we can buy organization before capturing these cities. And then on turn 4, we can use a road and a fruit to level up one of our cities. And now, what if we have a lighthouse spawn? Well, usually the lighthouse won't matter, but if you miss your second or third city, then you can train a warrior on turn 2 or 3 to get that lighthouse later to help connect and upgrade your capital. And now, if you think that sort of road opening is too risky, or you're playing on a map with a lot of water, where roads might not be as favorable, then you can go for a turn 0 warrior and just opt out of roads entirely, buy an organization or whatever tech you might need on turn 3 to level up your capital. Then on turn 4, you can train up to 2 warriors or level up your second city. Think about it like a Quetzali opening, but with roads instead of defenders as your starting tech. And that's all for part 3. Have a good one.